This week in comic books, DC gives us a mediocre story. Marvel just gives us a bad one. It didn't make sense. We'll talk about Darth Maul. But Independent, especially Image this week, are really giving us some really good stuff as we talk about Dick Tracy, Feral, Duke, the conclusion to Duke, and just the Creature from the Black Lagoon. We're going to talk about a lot of these books and give you a quick review of them and talk about the industry as a whole. Is Image still, should we consider it an independent comic book company? Or are they finally mainstream now? Should we be saying Marvel, DC, and Image, right, whenever we talk about comic books, and then call everything else independent? It's going to be a question I'm going to put forward to you, and as we review these books, consider that question. That, and of course, I got to sell you some coffee. Check this out. Hey, what's going on, folks? This is your boy Pocan Joe to talk to you about Coffee Brand Coffee. We serve people that are tired of gimmicky advertising and branded companies that want to lecture you. At Coffee Brand Coffee, all we want to do is serve you freshly roasted coffee wherever you're at, whenever you want it. Consider Coffee Brand Coffee. Check us out, check our reviews out, and use promo code POCANJOE or the link down in the description to save yourself some money. Give me the opportunity to get you a delicious cup of coffee. Alright, weirdos, one other quick note about Coffee Brand Coffee. If you use my link down in the description and you want to pick up one of their Mother Day gift boxes, you'll get an extra 10% off on that. So give your mom something warm to drink, a sweet snack, and actually show her that you love her instead of that crappy Mother's Day card and flower that's going to die in a few days. Get her something she can enjoy for a little while longer. Use my link down below, and you'll get an extra 10% off. The link. Don't worry about the promo code. Just use the link. Type in mother, and that will get you extra money to get your mom something really nice. An extra 10%. Check that out. But that's not why you're here. You're here to hopefully listen to my opinions about some of the comic books this week. So let's kick it off with Brave and the Bold. This is number 12. This is the cover I went with because I thought it was something else, and then I read the story and I was like, oh, you're doing that. All right. And here you get a collection of stories, right? The first one deals with Batman. He's been bit by a vampire. Really, it was Man-Bat's secret serum that kind of made everybody into monsters. And, of course, there's a whole nother monster, ancient monster, that's in charge. And we kind of have a vampiric Bruce Wayne. But what was interesting about this particular story is that we have a new Robin, Maya. She's a smart, quick as a whip, shows all the signs that Batman really likes to see in a Robin, and so it's kind of a new character, if you will. I like the artwork in it. I love the story behind it. I regret not reading the rest of the story, as I just caught the tail end of this one. The rest of the stories in there were kind of weird. We get one with Artemis. If you don't know who she is, she's a more aggressive, anti-hero Wonder Woman type character that has been kind of presented in Amazon versus the World type of story. And that just made no sense whatsoever. It was kind of like the stereotypical toxic male that you always hear about in charge of a military unit. It's got a problem with her because, woman, I guess. I don't know. It was kind of off-putting and kind of cringy, and the dialogue in it was what you would expect with your typical buzzwords and word salad. So that one just kind of missed me. Then the next one had something to do with Swamp Thing, and Swamp Thing just rambling about the green. The guy dies because his company's dumping waste in the swamps, so they off him so he doesn't tell nobody, and the Swamp Thing kind of makes him part of the swamp. And then we get this long depiction of the green, right, his magical woo-woo place, about how it's reality, but not really reality. It's a dream world, and yet still a nightmare. And it was all this kind of contrasting pseudo-psychology BS that just makes no sense, that nothing has an answer. Didn't really care for that. And another story in there about a henchman and how he's worked with straight-up mobsters all the way to gimmicky heroes wearing a mask. Apparently he lost his wife, and instead of just having Batman come in and punch him in the face, he invites him in for coffee, but then tries to shoot him. And then at the end, it was always about that one big jackpot for him and his wife. And he, of course, doesn't learn his lesson as he dons on a penguin's mask and talks about one last jackpot. So yeah, the rest of it was just pretty unimaginable. Everything was just kind of a ho hum. Hey, this happened story. Nothing really resonated from it. And that was sad because it seemed like it should have been cooler. Brave and Bold has always been really good at teaming up or introducing new characters, and this just kind of seems more of a here's another continuation of a story. Brave and Bold's always quick wrap ups. If something interesting and cool happening, kind of the DC's version of a what if. What if this character teamed up with this character? How would that look? And it just really missed for me. Moving on, I got Penguin #9. This ends this issue run, and this is. I swear these reviews are going to get better. Again, just another lackluster ending. It just we spent so much time, the Penguin coming back as a gangster instead of a gimmicky type character following tropes. We made him more gangster, right? In the 1940s sense, right? Mob boss kind of guy. And he's putting his team together. And all this work went into it just for this kind of ho-hum type ending that where it's just, he's got an issue with his kids got an issue with him, lover involved, and it just kind of, I don't know. You would expect something a little bit more substance-based to it, and that just didn't happen. It just kind of missed the mark. All right, one more bad review. I'm sorry. All right, to all my Star Wars fans out there, I want you to pay particular attention to the review of this comic book to see if we kind of agree on this. Maybe I'm missing something. I am a fan of Star Wars. I'm not the deep dive kind of guy, but I do know certain droids and ships and characters' backgrounds and things like that. But I'm not one to go into the deep lore of it, right? So today we're going to review Darth Maul, black, white, and red. Cool cover. Cool. And I was like, oh, the one character from those movies that, might as well had a cameo appearance. But, I remember I was like, oh, this is the saving grace of this movie. And then they killed him off. And then Marvel's like, hey, let's show you a comic book with it. And I was like, that'd be cool. And then I read it and I was like, oh, somebody doesn't know Star Wars very well wrote this. So in this, right, we get, oh God, this is going to be so bad. I apologize. So Darth Maul gets sent on a mission, kind of like what you would send a bounty hunter on. Darth Maul, that guy. Anyway, to go round up some prisoners because Palpatine wants them. And so he goes, and it's a prisoner ship, lost contact. He goes in there, and then systematically, the 3 that he's looking for, he has to get through the ship to get to the big one, right? It's kind of like a video game quest type of thing. And as he defeats each one relatively easily, mind you, he starts to realize that this whole thing is a cult and that they kind of worship chaos, right? Chaos will reign over the universe. And the whole story and the narrative to it is about how orderly and logical Darth Maul is. The guy from the dark side, where they teach you to let your emotions flow through you, right? And accept fear and hate and all this other stuff. The chaotic parts of your emotional structure, right? He doesn't do that. He's defeating chaos in this with logic and order. And I was just like, I think y'all are kind of missing the mark there on what the dark side is versus the Force. There's a disconnect there. It didn't make much sense to me. We're taking a character. Now, you can't argue in the movies. It was very obvious he was da. But following a checklist and being logical and rational are two different things. And I think this I don't know who's okaying these books. Really, it wasn't anybody at Lucasfilms, that's for sure. And if they did, shame on them too. But this really just kind of missed the mark. It's basically just Darth Maul being super sophisticated, super logical, and goes through and defeats each one of his enemies, so their chaos doesn't reign across the universe. Now, you can't argue, well, the Empire is of a force of government that's regimented, has bureaucracy and right? But that wouldn't be using the dark side of the Force, right? That's a government structure with chaos inside of it, right? That's always been the representation there. That there's still disorder there. So I don't know. If you're a Star Wars fan, and you read this, or maybe you have a little bit more insight on it, especially a deeper dive into it, definitely let me know. Did I misread this? I keep feeling like I was misreading it, and that the character is actually this orderly, soldieristic type of character. But then again, the dark side is all about just letting the chaos flow through you. So I'm kind of stuck on this one. I don't know what else to say. Moving on, Independence this week, folks. Independence this week. Let's talk about them. Because I'm telling you right now, Image is slowly proving that they can put out good comic books and that they should be considered in the top 3. Like, we should stop calling it independent. It just Marvel, DC, Image. And the teamwork with Man Cave that they've been teaming up with. This stuff has been beautiful. So let's go ahead and talk about this whole monster universe that's kicking off with the creature from the Black Lagoon lives. Bam. Now, right up off the bat, you think the movie, you think the monster, and you're thinking, oh, well, they kind of taking this down a different route. Let's go ahead and warn you now. So we have a reporter that wakes up, and she's chasing down a monster, a human being that is a monster. I get it. Yeah, I see. I know. Somebody just rolled their eyes and they're like, yeah, that's kind of the deal here. But with that said, she's chasing them down. Bodies are being drowned and collected. Apparently, this particular killer, that's kind of his niche, is to drown people. Oh, that's a horrible way to go. That's that and suffocating in like a coffin or something. That's no. But regardless, this kind of myth that it's the most peaceful way to go once you get past the panic, and they kind of dispel that, a whole lot of that in here. God, it's just that panic stage has got to be the worst. Like I only have a few fears, right? I don't like being electrocuted or shocked. Oh. The idea of not being able to breathe, like in space, or being choked, or in a coffin or something. Oh, and then like drowning. I don't consider that suffocating. Oh, just everything filling in, panic. Oh, terrifying, right? And this book really kind of conveys that message to you, and I thought that was good. Like I was like, no, I don't want to go that way. But at the end, the lady who has a fear of drowning or being drowned has to cross the river to catch up with some guys that are carrying a body that are obviously working for our serial killer type guy here. She gets swept away, put underwater, and kind of goes through that little panic state. And the monster, the creature from the Black Lagoon, of course, saves her. Now, you're probably thinking, that doesn't make much sense for the monster to do that. But if you actually remember the movies and things like that, like, he kind of had a thing for human women. You go, you sneaky dog. But with all that said, the artwork in here is beautiful. The dialogue makes sense. The headstrong reporter, right, chasing down her leads, it's great. And it's just visually pleasing on the eyes to actually be able to read this. So yeah, I'm calling this a good review for this. This was solid. Next, this is going to surprise some people. We're going to talk about Dick Tracy #1. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is a different take on Dick Tracy, but everything that you like and remember about Dick Tracy, you obviously get those nostalgia pills as well. That's why it's my pick of the week. Oh, let me set it down. Let's do something cool. Let's do this for a change. Wah, wah. Pick of the week. Surprise. Yeah, it's not Duke. Not to say Duke was bad, but to get into this, everything you know and love. So we get a council member, a politician. We get him talking to a reporter. And then, of course, Flat Top and the gang come down and gun him down. And then now Dick Tracy's got to solve the murder along with his new assistant or pal or team up, however you want to call that, a young lady reporter. Reporters are a thing nowadays, I guess, again, which is weird to me, given the state of reporting, but whatever. In this, Mumbles is a known character as we would know him from the old movie and stuff like that, but Flat Top and Big Boss are kind of unknown right now, so you're kind of getting your introduction to them and how sadistic they can really be. Gangland murder, detective work, gun down with the Tommy guns, the dialogue from that time frame, and phrases used from the 1940s are all being expressed in here. But the modernization of actually seeing people getting shot up being the modern interpretation of it. They made Dick Tracy look kind of weird in this, but I can look past that. Again, can't really judge the art too much. I'm not an art expert. But it was kind of thrown off. I was like, oh, that's what we're going. Okay, that's Dick Tracy. So this is really just your reintroduction to your main characters as we go down this mystery of why this politician was shot, why is Big Boss trying to kill these politicians, who is Flat Top and how sadistic can he get, and of course Mumbles being loose lips. Mumbles the loose lips. That's a mouthful there. So yeah, pick of the week, great book. Next, we got Feral. Another great story this week. I like what they're doing with this. You take the kiddie Disney art and you add adult themes to it. So, and this is really a zombie story in its basic form, right? But we're using rabies and we're affecting animals with it. So some will turn, some will have to try to escape. We get some house cats that have been kind of cuddled. We got stray cats that are a little bit edgier, right, with reality. So all the tropes that you would normally see in a zombie story, you're getting in this kind of Disney, cartoony kind of world. And then we kind of get the scope of how big this virus is spreading and how quickly as the cats try to make it home. Right? Super simple story, super basic, but what really kicks this off again is the dialogue, the interaction between the cats having to deal. It might as well be people, it doesn't really matter. The fact that it's house cats kind of makes it fun for the most part. All right, moving on. Last issue of Duke, and I'm going to tell you right now, folks, I couldn't think of a better way for them to connect G.I. Joe and the reason why they would even be involved with the Transformers in this Energon universe. And of course, Cobra Commander's single issued comic book or single series kind of interloping why Cobra needs to be involved in the whole Transformer universe. This is brilliantly done. You know, we took the concept of Duke thinking that the robots were made by Destro, and then we find out that Destro's robots really aren't that sophisticated. He's making bats, battle android troopers, like the toys, right? And then him being able to walk away and go fight the enemy and having Duke destroy one of the bats. And then G.I. Joe coming together saying, okay, look, Duke, you're not crazy. Yes, we reported you dead. They did that. But that's to get you back into G.I. Joe, to make this ultra top secret team back together and to go battle these robots, and then shows them a picture, of course, of Optimus Prime gunning down some bad guys. The problem is G.I. Joe can't distinguish the difference between who are the good guys and who are the bad guys in this situation. So it's a great launch for G.I. Joe to go in there and have some epic action scenes, some epic action stories, the whole 9 yards, everything, right? And then see the epic team up moments of, you know, like Optimus Prime and Duke saying, hey, we're really kind of the same thing. Let's go kick the Decepticons' ass, you know. And then Cobra, what will their role be? I don't know. I hope they don't go generic and, like, just team up with the Decepticons, right? Bad, good, you know, that thing. I hope there's something a little bit more sophisticated added to it. And I have a strong feeling they're going to do that with the way this has been written out so far. So yeah, that's my comic book haul and review this week. Definitely let me know what you thought about this. What did you read that I missed? Definitely let me know. I'm always welcome to comments and opinions. And I'll catch you all next week. Next week, we're still going to have a comic book review every week. I'll talk to you all later. Bye.